Hello everyone. Well, in this video we are going to discuss that how you can create the SQL server and attach the database to it. Well, the steps for creating the SQL server and database will be slightly differ from the way we created for the blob and table. So in our previous case we used the connection string to get the connection object, and using that connection object we will create the respective client to deal with the blob and table. But in case of SQL Server, first we doesn't require any storage account as SQL Server itself a entity. Second thing, here we don't need the connection string, but we need the subscription cloud credential object to create the SQL management client. And in order to create the object of subscription cloud credential, we need subscription ID and management certificate. So these things we need to download from Azure. So in order to do that, just open the PowerShell and execute this command: get Azure publish setting file. So it is going to download a file from the Azure which will contain the subscription ID as well as the management certificate. For that it will ask you to log in inside the Azure portal. Okay, so as you can see here, it has downloaded a file. So this is the file which it downloaded, and if I open it, it will contain all the subscription ID and the management certificate. So we need to use this detail to get the subscription cloud credential object. So here I will create, I have already copied the subscription ID and management certificate, so I'll just paste here. And here I will create one more method called public void test SQL, and the attribute with this method is test method. So first of all, I need to get the cloud credential object. So subscription, and before this, as we have a dependency on the SQL, so we need to install certain DLL inside our project just the way we did it for our storage. So here I will use manage NuGet package and search for SQL management, and I'm going to install this inside our project. So again, it is going to add certain DLL, dependent DLL, to our project, and all the classes which I'm going to use for dealing with SQL Server and database will come from that DLL. So I'm going to just pause the recording till the installation finish. So the installation is done. So here I will use subscription cloud credential account equal to new certificate cloud credential, and if I look at the constructor detail, it will take the subscription ID as an argument as well as the object of this certificate class. And if I go inside this certificate class, it has a constructor which will take the data in the form of byte array. So I will use subscription ID here, comma new certificate class, and I will use a method called convert dot from base 64 string, and here I will specify the management certificate because our management certificate is encrypted here. So as you can see here, this management certificate is encrypted one. So it is going to take that string, convert into byte array and supply inside this constructor. So this is going to return us the object of subscription cloud credential, and using this object I will create the SQL management client. So here I will use SQL management client equal to new SQL management client, I will supply the credential object here. Now all the interaction which I want to do with the SQL, I will do with the help of this client. So first of all, let me create a SQL server. So client dot servers dot create. Now when I call the create method here, I need to specify the parameter for the SQL server. So I will use new server create parameters. And here I will specify the parameter. The parameter will be what is the server username, what is the password, and so on. So I will specify the password as admin@1234. The username, let's say QA SQL, or let me just give a simple one as SA. After that I will specify the location. So as I told you, the cloud is the collection of data center which is spread across the globe. So when I specify the location here, it is going to go into the data center and create the SQL server. So let's say I supply as North Europe. So it will look for the data center which is in North Europe and create the SQL server there. Okay. And if I look at the return type of this method, it returns me server create response object. So I will use server create response, server response. Okay. And here I will use console dot write line server response dot server name. So if you look at here in the parameter, we did not specify the name of server. That means whenever you call this create method, the Azure API will automatically generate a random name for your SQL server. So I'm going to put a debug point over here, just build the solution and run this script in debug mode. So first I will get the object of subscription cloud credential. Then I will create the SQL management client. Then using that client, I will create the server. And that server will have all those parameters. Okay, it says that SA is not a valid login. So let me give as QA server. So again, let me run it in debug mode. So it has created the server for us. And if I look at here, this is the server name. I will open my Azure portal and here I will search for SQL server. Okay, so as you can see here, it has created a server for us. Now let us suppose we want to delete the server. So first of all, let me store the server name where server name equal to this. And just like we call the create method, there is a delete method also. So I will use client.servers.delete. And here I need to specify the server name as the argument. Okay. And if I look at the return type of this method, it is going to return me the object of Azure operation response. So Azure operation response. And I will just use console.writeLine and response.status code. So as you can see here, this is the name which is given by the Azure to this SQL server. So again I will run this script in debug mode, and this time again it will create a new SQL server. So if I just do a refresh here, so now we have two SQL server, and this is the newly created, and this is the name. Now if I again do a step over, it is going to delete the server. This is the server. So if I just do a refresh, your SQL server is gone. So in this manner, with the help of SQL Management Client, you can create the SQL server and you can delete the SQL server.